Hello, America. We inherited, every modern country inherited the sciences already having been abridged, and they could not afford to have discerned the, 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 um, the identity that scientists share. Boxing, martial arts, and wrestling, they share, grouped also together as an individual. The reason, for example, there is one way to fight by the rules that causes evolution's fruits, gifts, means out of nowhere, and means to check if what we create for that as that is not only to make sure it's not just only positive as a criminal insidiousness nature of positive, just like how a lie could be a truth could be used for a lie or to screen one. For example, the significance of the breaching method as a scientific value. What caused slavery, for example, was a human factor nature breaching method, which was sickly distinctly through other identities in layers, while the breaching method measured and maintained even countries. Only, no matter how powerful a leader could get since semi ancient times, this breaching method had already forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded the names of the human volume, the human species volume science, individual slash group differences in species volume slash S, because they're also a semi-nature relationship to the identity, the hyper simultaneous. That per science, so I'm not using the word God, for how the fish have two eyes that looks just like human eyes. The other species bodies, volumes, they have individual group difference slash S. Even in Australia, the world down under, they have, I forgot the name of the species, but there are species in Australia. They've been separated so long that they're a little different. Now, this breaching method took syntactically the difference slash S of white and black, specifically because we have black pupils, whites of eyes, and the relativity of forcing, tricking, hurting, persuading the names of humanity's names to have to counter something syntactically, like hypercriminal foreign influences, but only being able to blame it on criminal foreign influences and not being able to do that correctly. So this leans on the types of experts only having been known abridged, certain type of victim slash hyper victim from off all campuses, and then sustained on off them for hyper additional reasons. There was sustained uses of what all syntactically had roles with, and still have roles with it. We were supposed to have had made clear for ourselves that and how James Madison did not have free speech, and how he made the agreement as he's the representative representation of our founders, and with his plan as the face of it, that made the agreement with George Washington. That was classified. That was declassified for us. But everyone kept going with the fake words, where everyone was measured and maintained still by the breaching method. Slash S. See, the slash S part, it forced all roles syntactically. So we have black white leaders of the military in Connecticut involved with probate court judges, involved with elderly homes, involved with veterans homes, involved with other courts, superior courts involved with Connecticut District Court, with prosecutors, judges, their personal and professional roles with foreign and domestic medical families. Seems less, but it's worse than anything that they convicted Joseph Mengele and of Hitler. This is a part of that method fluent through our nations. Don't forget that the Germans invented the car. The Ford was the first in assembly line, which is distinct from the first car. And we did this together, but it was never together. It was natures of unity and it was natures of independence with this preaching method left out. The proverbial devil. I don't say the proverbial devil, the proverbial shaytun. I don't say shaytun, I say the proverbial because we're supposed to call this a hyper archetypal criminal enterprise. We're supposed to attend with truth, with we are that which we are capable of actually discerning. So Russians, Americans, people from Korea, for example, people from Ukraine, they have roles with Americans, intelligence communities, with mental health locations, where someone might be forced for a mental evaluation though, at hospitals, at a part with the mental health part. They've been putting fake transcripts in there after being and while being used remotely, criminally foreign influence / hypercriminally foreign influence. And the difference of them with that and their patients in overt criminal enterprises, they have collusions with them. That's how long it has been. All sides in criminal and civil cases, their lawyers, the courts, while they're taking issues, while they're discussing instances and things, they're hiding what came first and what's actually communicated with it. So increasingly, there are intelligence people associated with that former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, who has roles with my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Pruzzi, and with a principal upskirt nature, and people associated with the principal I had at the time, his family member. His daughter has roles with a Kevin Harris, who's one of the ones involved with mental health people, foreign and domestic, who have roles with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, planting fake evidences, acting for others to record things. And then sometimes when they're directing them to act so they can pretend afterwards it was only about that, they're actually collusions. That's why and how they have crazy murders and overt criminal enterprises and crazy things, intercities tied to the names next to the campuses. Intelligence community with the name O'Brien, are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by people who went to my grammar school and people like Rick C.M. Faglione. They're involved also with the names that Weathersfield police confessed the name Cololo. They don't give the whole name. Bob Chase said about Phil Cololo was involved with it. Whiting Forensics has foreign and domestic people involved with military, including Navy, state, Ron Adams is one of the people involved with. There's a Joshua Julian involved on YouTube and on Facebook with the Weathersfield Police with child offenders, including sexual and medical. And now a whole bunch of people tied to a Leahy family and other doctors are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with various natures of abuses of kids between campuses, where they're attaching all the kids to fake conversations with each other. And they're doing little illusions like magic tricks by having people make statements that are not real, and then pretend they know that people, as the people involved with overt criminal enterprises, foreign ones, foreign intelligence, overt criminal enterprises, and private ones, and worse. But all the news putting fake conversations too, also with Ron Adams and other people on YouTube. They're also preventing me from getting discovered Weathersfield police have been used remotely with other departments with the same house involved with wire crimes with them, and the ones tied to them to it. Where there are exceptions, it's the same thing. People involved with wire crimes with the Weathersfield police, and it's also increasingly they don't want to be roles with it. The difference is when people want to speak, people want to pretend they have free speech like punks. I want a guy. I want a response from the rest of the people I caught with the principal child defender associated with these people, and then he lies about and he's switching names to the police. They have the right to lie? They're using it when they don't have the right to lie. Left out exceptions. You have judges and prosecutors involved with their Facebook pages, New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Courts, passion crimes after the World Trade Center attack. Before the World Trade Center attack, the family and intimate ties of Hartford's Superior Court and other courts. Their family members, also with New Britain Superior Court's family members, they were planting evidences on off parks and spots in West Hartford. So the Connecticut intelligence community also has been using the news to spread lies because they have to hide lie progressions. They have their kids involved with this because of they're used remotely. Certain type of victim slash hyper victim has been used remotely, criminally foreign influence slash hyper criminally foreign influence. It is a part with where and how we could discern remote uses, criminally foreign influence of the cases, legal cases relative, all sides of criminal and civil cases, people from whiting for forensics and from campuses in Newtown, Connecticut, including a prison there. They have roles with a principal child offender and other campuses with a child offenders, and they have roles acting with issues tied to the schools where they use the right to lie, where they don't have the right to lie. So they have the intelligence community associated with these schools. They have foreign and domestic medical families. Their narratives with regarding the right to lie. They have the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie. So you have to follow mandatory law for them. So Ron Adams is making things up with the medical community. He's been pretending things about me online, and he's been switching names with officers. There's an officer Powers, I believe he said, or something like that. He's been having conversations in the background with people as further involved. When I caught them, they arrested me for and they hid what I caught, and fake they changed it to fake email communications, and they put fake emails with WTNH. They have roles with the intelligence communities with acting professors and other departments at Central Connecticut State University and their library. These are also people involved with West Farms Mall. The intelligence community implied and demonstrated that the syntax of Jordan's furniture is all in that location is also associated with people with the names Scalora, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with some people involved with abuses of children with the intelligence community. Planting evidence is also with mayors and people on our fire departments with foreign. They have Russians involved with this, planting evidence, identity theft, fraud, slanders, where they have something to do with their, the roles of the campuses, including fire campuses and medical campuses and prison campuses in their campuses that train them. Central Connecticut State University has rules interstate criminally foreign influence in intrastate, not just with the other Connecticut State universities, but they have also, Bryant Bryant College. They have Johnson in Wales in Rhode Island. They have Quinnipiac University, which is associated with polling, and where and how the people, there are all these scams, predicate acts methods, where they pretend voting means what it doesn't, and where and how it is recorded, how the breaching method measures and maintains political voices, speaking for democracy, where and how they're used remotely. Our founders, they had, when they make it, our founders had to become a power where there was the only powers were in slavery, were enslaved, and making more slaves. Fact treatment nature oriented wise. All exceptions, exception nature, and demonstration, the same thing. That's why and how better than free, we can go like that and fix, not fix, fix how tactically denatured are the suburbs means to afford it, let alone New York City. Then you're gonna have the audacity to pretend you're researching what causes the problems of the crimes. All truths you see your value being and having been used to get away with it. Blaming on other things, others ourselves, with the breaching method cost, for example. Clearer than day. A human fact treatment nature breaching method caused. What it caused, negative value, like negative value nature progressions, acts in nature. Nature's demonstrations of with it. And they contain demonstration of that breaching method as an increasingly valuable scientific value for the discernment of increasingly ulterior from what is told, being how to speak about communicate American history. American history. Oh, what's your research? That's my research. I don't have the book anymore. And we learn things in notes. The colonists wanted and had capabilities to build safer and better homes. There was slavery entrenched north and south. So the breaching method measures and maintains fake sophistication, speaking about a tea tax. Sick puppies. Yeah. In other words. So they had kids and their family member. They make confessions by timing where people are going to be, make illusions. But these are people like involved with this Joshua Julian. I don't know at all, but his name was repeated to me, so I know it that way by two different people. See, there's a Mark Violet and there's a Mike Violet. I never had a conversation with Mike Violet verbally, and people tied to him. He's involved with the military and with the military next to the state capitol, criminally foreign influence. Involved a whole bunch of people tied to a Mayor Gold and his daughter, and people associated with their families, and people that had conversations with them, adjacent to conjunctions to them, involved with all kinds of federal evidences, crimes, roles with foreign and domestic medical families, offenders of kids with their extended family members, spreading lies about everyone. They've been attaching me since I was a kid to fake conversations with everyone around me, including my family, since I was a kid. They've been planting evidences. Increasingly, people of the intelligence community with Trinity College and Central Connecticut State University has roles of people from all different areas with predicate acts on my street because they have the high lie progressions from the roles planting evidences on those campuses. So there are lawyers increasingly too planting fake evidences with their clients and with the people that work for them. The difference of that, their family members, fake motivations. So there are interagencies too. When they ask questions, oh, is the CIA guilty or is it the FBI? It's a screen. Whiting Forensics increasingly has roles with these other agencies with the same house involved with the wire crimes, with the name Cololo. A whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with wire crimes with a Cololo and Tim O'Brien and Rick Cianfaglione, as the people involved with people from Covington Street in New Britain that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, since they were kids being abused by prosecutors and judges with the same thing, games, recording fake things and then recording real things after they recorded other was already recorded, because they have rules using investigators remotely, because they have been used remotely since they were little kids, having had replaced. There were certain type of victim at campuses A through Z, sickly distinctly. You had other communicators for George Washington and James Madison, let alone them simultaneously. And that's before James Madison was valued as a president. If you don't understand how they didn't have free speech because they were being tortured, extorted, in fact, human nature enslaved, and they had to pretend otherwise that body would be censed, even if that body was a majority of people, black pupils, even of countries. See suits and ties, counters, and exceptions when they fight with the summaries of when they have music playing distinctly through the generations because they have each age of fact, human nature, multi front maintained per breaching method, blaming other things, others, or selves for the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts of nature, and discorrelations, black pupils, against any voice who's going to make convictions calmly, properly, or aggressively, properly. I can't do that. They can only use aggression to shut people up, and they can, or to the keeps using passion to keep pretending they don't realize how they're getting over on exceptions and exception nature tools and screens. A breaching method never left. But we had to become a power. That means we weren't no power, none. We had nothing. Native Americans and individually grouped and together. They had to fight with each other because the breaching method was sustained. Now our founders are born. That was already sustained. Everything was. This is the last of humanity, unabridged. The that's gone. Indigenous populations are a demonstration from nature to us, where it demonstrates we are being used as individuals grouped and together. All identities of all voicings for humanity as systems tactical terrier than humanities. So there are logistical impositions that we can't fathom because of the nature of the that most people can't fathom because of the nature of the weapons. So I just put a video I just did about with a Scott Ritter, for example. There are ultrasonic weapons and stuff like that, and we know from history there are already nuclear weapons and things like that. But we never had anyone defend our voice as intelligence community. They say, "Oh, powers." Why did we become a power? Because we had nothing. They had to force them to be a unity. They were just like the tribes. They were proofs that Native Americans, nature shows it anyway. Native Americans, individually grouped and together, are 1/3 of our founders. And then grouped again further with the portion of our founders who had to counter extort the other founders at 13 locations with Madison's plan. And they only their only plan was for survival now. Because now you broke the fact treatment nature laws of the crazy method. You know? Again, simultaneously slavery was entrenched north and south. Don't blame. Just look at it, blame the breaching method. That's what we're observing it not tied to. Because if you observe it, you'll use it. In other words, that's one of the reasons we have no one made that simple argument. In other words, if you're a citizen who lives in people stacking in New York City, you have the right to do things for better than free that people in suburbs, which are also tactically denatured, know. But they should have rights to be able to do things and get resources from everyone else for better than free. They wouldn't have to do it through filtered systems because the Republicans and the Democrats and the exceptions hand out jobs that are invested, criminally foreign influence jobs, tactically denatured roles with as countries' powers. When did America ever be a power? Never overcame. All of Europe owns America. In other words, in other words, it's all uses of names at campuses as systems tactical terror from that A through Z. It's even manifest where the intelligence community they're shown they have all these different countries with them. So then they do little tricks where they go, this person said this and this person said that. And if you respond or don't, and they're not measuring for what they're pretending they're measuring for, and they're increasingly recording, confessing, demonstrating collusion /S with that breaching method, clearer than day. Assignments at each age of wisdom and smartness of descriptions of a tactical terror from which wise and smart. All exceptions nature used to get away with it. One of the reasons they keep using the word addiction is because how many things? What about I love having milk, cereal. I mean, I don't even eat like cereal a bunch anymore, but I love milk. I put milk with it's like milk. I take Ovaltine with milk. And I put because I saw was looking on YouTube turmeric recipes. I don't. There's. I have to put. In other words, make a drink, a new drink. But I don't know about the health drinks and things like that. Then you have to have a license to speak about things. And the reason we need licenses, journalists are supposed to have licenses to tell the truth, but they're also directed to lie because they have roles with hundreds of countries and they are recorded in involvement of their uses of readings of statutes where they get away with those lies, but they're leaving out exceptions, like where and how they're leaking that as the pay, as how they're getting away with it, and how they make confessions through statements of people, also as confirmations about their roles with various natures of organized crime. And then they want to pretend they could have a conversation calmly with people. So Central Connecticut State University has a whole bunch of people tied to a Mike Pandol and a Christopher Walters and Eric, not Eric, what's his name? Justin Klovinskis and Anna Eric Jensen and people all along Route 175 though. Route 175 from Weathersfield, from Old Weathersfield, Main Street, all the way through there, which is Wells Road, and it turns into goes through Newington and then goes to Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut. Now on and off Paul Manafort Drive, on and off Central Connecticut State University. These are also people involved with Germany, with Russia, Korea, Japan at the same time as people along routes planting evidences through time. These are people involved with Taekwondo places and people that know my name increasingly that I don't know their names. Tied to the name like Kalolo were involved with these wire crimes with Weathersfield police, falsified police reports with me. Big conversations with me as a kid with the police. And increasingly attached me to fake conversations and ties to doctors as a kid and now as an adult. And with the families that have been planting evidences with their cliques from other cities, with the houses near me, and the people that used to live near me tied to it. They're increasingly people at Hartford hospitals, mental health side, putting fake things in databases, use investigators remotely, criminally foreign influences, judges and prosecutors speaking fake things in records, faked evidences. So fear God and get these people on paper, one name and sequence, and stop speaking about America and leaving out exceptions. The only reason America entertained you guys have the right to do business because a breaching method has you locked. a breaching method that has you locked. Sorry, you want to make a business, but mind your business about your opinions when other people are asking them to report acts like predicate acts. You punks. Get the fake conversations with me off the fake news, WFSB, so I can start interacting and have connections to real communications people. Where these let alone Ron Adams, little fakes with the police in the background, little punks. They have Joshua Julian, a Joshua Stryker, and a Joshua Schumack. A Joshua Schumack has his mother involved too. I don't know her. I walked by her a couple of times. She's planting evidence as fake ties, fake natures of ties to me and to others involved with this. These are people next to where the Weathersfield police are now, not far from it, no, where that Taekwondo place used to be. Now it's in Rocky Hill. And there are people involved with that, with the town lines, with this, with Justin Kovinskis, people with the National Guard involved with the probate courts, judges, families, planting evidences at the corner of and with Superior Court judges and prosecutors involved and people involved with Connecticut District Court. They're not legitimately lying to you. Fox News judges and Judge Napolitano, the transition, they've been using your transition from lying to you now with the social media police. These are cyber police too involved at that spot, involved with wire crimes. These are people that work for the wire phone companies. These are people involved with the FBI's tactically delusions raw, all the identities of law. They have roles of wire crime acts and methods with the same houses and names involved with the same police departments, involved with body dumping spots, also with confirmations of bad things, which actually recorded and then confirmed on Facebook, like involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grosso and the names next to it, and how they had different spots reported in the news. These are people. Judge Napolitano, you're saying, John Adams, you're saying that Judge Napolitano, uh, he 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 uh, he coordinated your daughter-in-law's second wedding. You're making that up about a judge in a context where his Facebook page is used against his knowledge by people involved with more obscure pictures on intersocial media with the principal in jail for it. And he was involved with more then and now. And there's a Weathersfield Police Chief Cintron and 1 year ago involved with the same house involved with it. And a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical and other police families tied to them involved with home break-ins. And their little cliques and their teachers have roles with the home break-ins still. And fake ties to me, I don't know, I mind my business. So Ron Adams has been roles with police and Judge Napolitano, a Ray Claw and a Joe Demoro. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. There's a girl with the name Napolitano that they involved with all along Route 3. Themselves roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders, making fake exceptions of me knowing others. Next to the state Weathersfield Community Center, on all sides of it, are people involved with judges and prosecutors, involved with medical corruption with foreign countries, overt criminal enterprises, plural, and private ones, and acting professors from Central Connecticut State University involved also with WTNH, with the corner of the street, like in Old Weathersfield at Church Street and Main Street, has roles with names associated with that corner and other corners on that street, who are involved also with more World Trade Center predicate acts with WFSB. and with names next to their location, who intercities also have roles further at Central Connecticut State University, with more predicate acts with names next to the schools too, since through time. As people involved also with home break-ins, increasingly with tied use of it, where they're hiding foreign names. These are people also putting fake transcripts in databases to use remotely investigators, and as collusions with the co-defendants of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Middlesex Community College is also involved with making confessions tied to this. So Ron Adams has been harassing me and has been obstructing justice with child offenders, including sexual, medical, and judicial. There are people with New Britain Superior Court, Harper Courts, people that work for DCF also had collusions with abuses of kids because then all they care about is oh, well, this is my job to have it. In other words, this employee, a bunch of Cain and Abel, leaving out the breaching method, for example. And then pretends to be about. Skin is opening his own ice cream shop on Broad Street. Ron Adams said, "There's Broad Street in Hartford has people involved with the name John Mayano, and he said that he has relatives there. Now these are people next to campuses in Hartford, next to Buckley High School, with an ILO's kitchen, involved with them with sequence shifts and federal evidences crime, child offenders, including medical. And these are people on off the state capital of Connecticut and the spots next to it. Also, Robert Luskin, former director of the FBI, former standing chairperson of the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. He has a Robert Chevrolet involved with spots near and people involved on up Harry Beecher Stowe, Mark Twain House, and further down the road where he has still or did have a legal office. There are also people involved through their intercities, planting evidences with investigators forging names, switching names, and then threatening me and others not to say anything after the World Trade Center attack too, because they affected confessions to me before the World Trade Center attack. I didn't know one of the names was Robert Luskin, but I found out after. I was in the Ninth Circuit Court next to the World Trade Center towers right before the attack. These are also people on off Central Connecticut State University who attached names on all sides of that and had roles with it, with attaching names on all sides of that case. And the people next to the building, like the Scalora and myself, to fake ties, fake natures of ties to each other and to other people, fake transcripts. They have roles with the WFSB and spots next to WFSB with people with the name Scalora and others tied to them. I don't know. There are also people with the name Kerr and Demaro and Kalola who have roles with and other people all along that street, like Elm Streets and Weathersfield and Rocky Hill. There are people with the name Oliveri with Elm Street and Weathersfield involved with sequence shifts, federal evidences, crimes of people on and off the state judicial branch offices, roles of wire crimes with this too, with a Weathersfield Pizza. They have which is also one of the conjunctions and adjacents to the state judicial branch offices. There's a Stephen Stocko involved intercampuses with the intelligence community, the names involved, wire crimes with Westfield Police, fake conversations with me as a kid and now as an adult, and with everyone around me. And their uses of this, you guys are going to observe. So, Judge Napolitano, there's a Ron Adams, who's one of the people involved with the World Trade, with names involved with the World Trade Center attack, increasingly tied to a Robert Luskin, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and people that were co-defendants of his. on all sides of cases, and people leading up to a 2006 district court case in Connecticut, as people who are also involved with criminally foreign influence uses of corners of buildings and of streets, and of planting fake exceptions of people knowing each other. They're planting evidences roles. These are also confessions made that way from complete strangers who then they pretend people are lying because they have a picture of them. Like Kevin Harris walked out a door one time. There are proofs that someone took a picture of him, me walking out the door one time near him. Because he's one of the ones with the family that put fake things in databases. I never had a conversation with him. His mother's involved increasingly with people who went to each of the campuses I went to, have conjunctions to them, who have rules sticking fake things in databases, and then acting at other locations in relative ways. And where these are also how there are confessions. So Ron Adams is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with intelligence community that uses the right to lie on a mass scale where they don't have the right to lie. This is where they leak things, and neither president has good health. And so now there are crazy things going on in the world and new forms of weapons, and we're just going to end civilization before they could even be civilization because the suburbs are tactically denatured. Fear God, Robert Lusky, on paper now. We have the Wethersfield Police that are switching names, forging names on paper now with the whiting forensics. Increasingly, you guys have the corners of streets involved, and you have Russians involved. You're playing games. Get on paper, one name in sequence. Get me off the fake conversations with these people named Luskin. And let's get them on paper. Let's go. You guys you should fear God for what I caught you doing before the World Trade Center attack. I didn't know it was you. Now Emily Amy, she's switching names, and Officer Hunter. So we're gonna see. Also, they have roles recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed with all kinds of different ways of criminally foreign influence uses of people's signatures. Also, demonstrably forging evidences. There are proofs that the FBI has a writing hand or other agencies involved have a writing expert associated with the people in Rocky Hill locations. So you guys are leaking while you want to play games and keep delay. All you're doing is making a map of the people that are involved with you, pretending that you don't understand people. So Ron Adams has federal evidence as crimes with Wethersfield Police and FBI. In other words, he has roles with this Robert Luskin, with identity theft, fraud, slanders. They have remote uses of criminal and civil cases since before our founders were born, black pupils. Judge Napolitano, they are caught. See, these are people involved with Wethersfield Police and wire crime action methods. There are people with the name Mendez next to Fox Connecticut News, Thaddeus Grabowski, Mike DeMay. Also in Allison, Mike DeMay and Allison Mulcahy. Never had a conversation with her in my life, verbal conversation with her or her sister. I never was around them. The only time I ever saw her was with the Thaddeus Grabowski right before this 2006 district court case. They have roles with the spots next to Fox Connecticut News, and where the it was a Club Blue. Now it's a Russian lady, and the name changes back and forth, and the owners change. But there are police firms that have been through it. There's a Casper family also involved with the ones on Hartford Hospital that have been attaching everyone to fake conversations. A whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital tied to the name Cololo. have been putting fake things in that campus with the agencies and judges involved too, themselves speaking fake things in records, their family members involved too, through time. So Rod Adams keeps bringing Ed Powell as one of the names into it more. Weathersfield police said that they confessed also part of a threat that they had multiple falsified police reports with different officers that switched the name and shared the name McGee. So then they're all in trouble together, so they'll have to lie together. And that's how they're kept evil. And then they have something to do with their spots, with the conjunctions and adjacents to the Weathersfield Police Department, the state judicial branch offices, where the Weathersfield Police and all the police departments have collusions with this. Harper the hospital said their names, D. Simone is also involved with it. And the people, all they just keep name stacking. They also have fake conversations with me and pretended I say everyone's evil. That's one of the games they play with other countries. So, Officer Ed Powell and a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, have something to do with people involved with corners of streets and wire crimes and mail crimes. Also, they have roles with mail crimes and messing with real estate company signs. A Heather Hansen and Joe DeMoro and a Mike Pandoff with the same corner and people tied to say a foreign and domestic military associated with corner and intelligence families associated with corners of streets, like all along Route 3 and Route 175, are people involved with identity theft, frauds, and slanders, timed influence with other countries, and uses of corners of streets. Leading, as people also recorded involved, leading up to the World Trade Center attack, in the spots right next to it, in on off it, in the attack context. And since interstates, that's in Manhattan. The Ninth Circuit Court is right next to the World Trade Center in Manhattan. So Scalora is one of the names involved with that. Also involved with home break-ins. People with the name Cololo and DeMoro years ago said that was a cousin of theirs. When they were in the process of making confessions and demonstrations to me, they will tell you themselves. I only know them real quickly with the different things. Remember. When I was locked in there, they put out potato chips, and I was so hungry. They put out junk food. There are proofs that they pretend, even though they know it's fake science, that they believe that's science. The people associated with Ron Adams, they're stealing millions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars a year, just from one of the hospitals in Hartford. And it's not even the real health care. And there are only like 350 streets, like 500 streets. I think it's like 350 streets in Hartford. So you guys missed what the people from these are the names next to the campuses too, running in to hide live progressions at the medical locations. Increasingly, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and other agencies are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved planting evidences and misdirect and influencing. Sometimes it's themselves, the ones most criminally born influence. Sometimes it's the like the people of Facebook, though. Also the other agencies and the police forms. See, these are types of jobs that were employed: criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw, / hypercriminally foreign influence. Not even a lawyer, not even police form, not even a doctor. I'll delineate your delusions from your criminally foreign influence souls, black pupils. So these are people with medical in New York City that have Connecticut too. These are people sick with your schools, with your minds, black pupils. When did integrity speak for New York City? So Robert Luskin is a former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act and the statutes. See, the reason we need statutes, precedents, is to appreciate exception nature in ways they have failed. Black pupils. There are, so I don't know why, Ron Adams, why would you obstruct justice and not stay focused on the rest of the predicate acts I noted? Like the news put faked information when I caught them with abuses of kids and rolls with untimely deaths. That has something to do with their roles with names at corners of streets. They've been planting evidences and fake motivations. See, the courts were shown how there's certain type of victim slash hyper victim, but victim predator, hyper predator. Now they're showing that they need to hide life progressions. So they're trying to set up criminal or civil suits of others so they can bring things before courts that have to hide things because this is right off the state judicial branch offices too. This is uses of the difference of adjacents and conjunctions to it where they are guilty with wire crimes in Wethersfield Police, Wethersfield Pizza. They're involved with fabricating transcripts to use investigators remotely with child offenders. People from the intelligence community with Central Connecticut State University through administrations, Republican and Democrat, criminally foreign influenced. Wethersfield town offices also has roles of the police switching names and stuff like this. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed that criminally foreign influence uses of Afghan leaders and kids of different religious spots, their own differences. They have black leaders and white leaders of military on off Trinity College planting evidences with the KKK themed, black themed on off the state judicial branch offices who have been planting evidences on campuses, fake motivations for why and how people, descriptions of people's behavior, fake prejudice reception when they're calling attacks on themselves. All exception nature appear to be in demonstration of other and demonstration of the same thing, slash S. Fear. First two sheets. So, Wethersfield Police have a Facebook page, and the Britain Superior Court has a Facebook page, who have roles with various natures of organized crime, acts, predicate acts, and with falsified police reports in the form of identity theft, fraud, slanders, with their sources too, and who's different, the difference of the criminalities of the criminal roles are used because these are people that have already locked fake things in databases together through time. And they were shown they would need to do that. Is how it uses them remotely, having the audacity to pretend they can't understand when someone tries to use the most overt examples about how a human factory nature breaching method and rolls with it are the only voices that are allowed or nature is allowed to be relative to the impositions upon the people of New York City, of Hartford, Connecticut, of the suburbs, let alone of the cities. And Hartford, Connecticut was designed as a suburban slash urban city. And with the narratives and natures associated with Harriet Beecher Stowe and Mark Twain, and the locations and the conjunctions and adjacents to that, increasingly as people involved with predicate acts, criminally foreign influence uses of Central Connecticut State University, as people involved in other locations, intercities, with those same names, increasingly building upon fake things stacked in databases, fake illusions with pictures. Ryan Adams has roles with lying about the verdicts in cases and the details of them, as collusions also with federal criminals in the cases. WFSB has roles with this, and with the names next to them increasingly involved with Ron Adams, the people he brings up, involved with proven child abusers, leaders of kids. I couldn't believe that such would get away with such, even though it was in the past. Now we have computers. So you have criminally foreign influence readings of statutes. And you can't leave out how they have the judges and prosecutors, family members themselves involved. Fake ties, fake spreading fake things about themselves and others. There's a Brian Silver increasingly involved with people that have been fire crimes on my street, planting evidences against me, as the people involved with the doctors personally and professionally at Harvard Hospital. And this Eric and Chris Walters, people with the name Demaro and Aiello involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, fake police next to the Harvard Hospital, involved with predicate acts on other campuses too, involved with predicate acts with people with fake ties to me and camp. Well, he's one of the people involved with planting evidences on my high school, little rat bag. Joe Aiello and his sister has something to do with their roles next with names next to Trinity College and next to campuses involved with fire departments. There's a fire campus next to Trinity College still involved with foreign and domestic with them. So, Judge Napolitano, please follow mandated law because Connecticut, New Britain Superior Court forges names and switches names and plants evidences as roles with crime scenes since I was a kid, and with increasingly stacking names to roles with federal evidences crimes with them. Increasingly, they have roles planting evidences next to parks and sequence shifts is one of the things important to understand about that. Judge Napolitano, this guy, he says he knows you and Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. And he's also one of the ones involved with Ray Reynolds and other people with spots like, intercities with identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, the influence to act, to be in my presence, then pretend we know each other. And then we'll pretend things are debatable with the judges planting courts with evidences with foreign bodies. Joe DeMaro's involved with them too. Joe DeMaro slept on a floor next to him in Vermont. That made it look like it was in my room with me. And the condos with us. They have people planting evidences with Middlesex Community College, further involved with child offenders, medical offenders. See, the intelligence community has a bunch of sick fakes. And the different, in other words, when they speak for the law, this preaching method knew they would be sick fakes that could not speak for it, could not afford to have discern what our founders communicated. Our founders in the face of James Madison and his agreement with George Washington to counter extort at 13 locations. Understanding this is critical. So where they pretend it's about a T tax, knowing that what was actually simultaneously recorded, we can discern quality aspects in nature as criminal insidiousness nature, speaking and having spoken for American history. We could nature itself. I'm not even a lawyer. The ACE Act, nature itself. I didn't even try. I just figured out what it would be, and it came out this way. Anti-Hyper-Archetypal Criminal Enterprise Act. See, countries are archetypal criminal enterprises, greater than transnational gangs. Criminal insidiousness nature is all just the same. But it's porous, hyper criminal insidiousness nature. That uses the voicings of people grouped as countries still remotely. They spoke about slavery properly? No. It's about the fact, cheap nature, torture, extortion, slavery of our founders three ways, sickly distinctly from everyone else. So how sickly non-distinctly could be discerned, functional by the breaching method and by it left out. So that's what they're doing. So a whole bunch of people that press the comments, they influence, and they're like where they use the words like policy. See, the internet companies have policies. There was a guy named Judd, I don't know. Trump is right, freak out about the border. But the Democrats are right about other things. I mean, they're not. No, they're the only damage control, where both sides are fakes together, and the difference of that. See, the people with the name collusion, with the name collusion with the Republicans and Democrats, and a whole bunch of other countries involved with their teachers and with the campuses and with names involved sticking fake things in the campuses about me. And who's responsible? They're leaving out the foreign names. That's why they play these games. And then people try to go back and describe it. The intelligence community is changing what's actually recorded. Their recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. It has to do with their roles with exploitations of Central Connecticut State University and Trinity College. They have a Joshua Stryker who's been faking things on the campus of Trinity College. I don't have a response yet. They because they're being scared by this Robert Luskin and these police. There's one of them uses the name Darth Vader. They refuse to identify themselves. They've been planting evidences against the family members of people that lived near me since they were kids and sustain. Then they make that self-valued when everyone wants to keep their names left out or speak about that dishonestly. So these are people fishing for to make an instance or something to cover up what's actually recorded. So you have to follow mandated law. Judge Nepal Fatano for Connecticut, and these people associated with the comments, like Joshua Julian, like Ron Adams, on my YouTube page, and Anthony Yagman. Anthony Yagman also has foreign and domestic medical families and overt criminal enterprises involved with him, and people associated with cousins of the houses around me associated with the police forging and switching names and planting evidences. And it's nothing personal against them. Yeah, who is Ed Powell? Ron Adams. You said it was one of the ones involved with the officers playing games with evidences with you, and with harassment. In the Britain Superior Court and other courts of Connecticut recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed they used the charge for harassment to hide what's actually recorded, and they fabricate things because so they use investigations remotely. Investigators remotely criminally foreign influence, and they have to hide that. So they're shown that by the breaching of them with sophistication here before they were sophistication. That's why so Ron Adams. Did you see that? Did you learn about the Jim Bean? He's one of the ones with the Whiting Forensics. Whiting Forensics said they have roles with a Phil Cololo. And I know Phil Cololo also has roles with others like Robert Rodriguez is also one of the ones involved on with spots conjunctions and adjacents to fire departments. There's also Inspector Mike of fire departments involved, and Robert Luskin is also involved with Jordan people associated with Jordan's Furniture, that place where they are at, West Farms Mall. There are proofs that the ad companies, there are recorded the ad companies have roles with people with wire crimes with the various police departments involved with the same house, also with other police forms and agencies, and their defendant capacities with the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, family members, and neighbors too, involved with the same house wire crimes. So Ron Adams also speaking about money. There are the corners of there's the corner of New Britain Avenue and Route 3. There are judges and prosecutors where I had tried to get money there when they make fights between people because they make confessions. That's some of the people involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and other body dumping spots with Whiting Forensics, who had narratives about why I used my an ATM card at the corner of Rocky Hill and Weathersfield. Something to do with that. In other words, they have been planting evidences between. This is how they get away with keeping those elderly homes. These are people on off the elderly homes and spots next to it, on off the veteran homes and spots next to it, involve criminally foreign influence while simultaneously tactically delusions rot black pupils. Fear God for what they call means and or evolution or science. So New York City, there are people with the name Fred Grouzet involved with New York City with the agencies, foreign and domestic, involved also with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, military with some black and KKK themes, with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic behind it. This is where they keep things like prejudice blamed for what they're in roles with, because it is hyper foreign, which keeps other things, others or themselves, blamed for what it caused and keeps. So nature shows us means to discern and to elaborate. And ACE Act, Anti Hyperarchetypal Criminal Enterprise Act, and to explain to Americans and to the intelligence community where and how, like, in other words, there's a guy, Professor Mersheimer, who keeps using the word American hegemony. Keeps using the word hegemony. Our founders left us to explain how we had nothing, it had to become a country or be worse slavery of everyone, black pupils. Science and free speech was never allowed. That's why and how New York City is manifest the way it is. That's why and how the suburbs are manifest the way they are, vaccines. There is one way to fight that heals, or even with those who lose, I'll win. You have to follow mandated law. So Connecticut and Branch have been switching names with these people that Ron Adams brings up, like the police. He had conversations with. He said he had conversations with. He had other conversations, other posts I had. This is ongoing. People bring up police that are little punks and then don't pretend I said things bad about the police. Because you keep it on the ones switching names with the child offenders and untimely death rolls brought that up. Rob Rodriguez he has roles with that shopping center too, on the border. These are people involved with these spots and these names of the Weathersfield police that were planting evidences. So they were planting evidences ever intercities, all these people at once. So they brought up all these subjects. And then you try to get one and they stack on more. It's how they keep, so that we need to get them on paper with the judges and prosecutors too, black pupils. Judge Napolitano, please get them on paper, one name in sequence with the Wethersfield Police and the state police. They have whiting forensics before I was born, when I was a little kid, when I was a young man. Then now and since they are increasingly involved with names planting evidences and with people with on off the state corrections offices, on off the state judicial branch offices, including planting evidences with people tied to and as people associated with boxing gyms. Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut has intelligence community involved with boxing gyms people, fake conversations with me. They plant evidences with the intelligence community every day. Many press. That's why they're so stupid when they speak about Republican Democrat. How many years long is a 4-year term? Can be able to do a lot in 4 years, but not if we're playing this game with suits and ties, and the suburbs tactically denatured, and you guys want to deny New York City's denatured. That's what I'm telling you. Focus on who's going to deny it, because inherent too, active too, and progressive to their identity of logic, they're going to have criminally foreign influence, facts, human nature, quality aspects of nature, as Ron Adam does, dropping police names and playing games. It's a federal crime to do that. See, they use the right to lie, but they don't have the right to lie on a mass scale. Whole bunch of identities of law. They never were capable of speaking for the law of black people. So in other words, that's why I'll show you this record. You have to follow mandate law. That I can only speak for myself, and they've been attaching me and everyone around me to fake conversations, change conversations with each other since we're kids. There's a game, and about protests. No, because these are people that are doing these things. Because then they have people speak about crowd control and stuff like that. You ever notice how people can't speak? The people who speak about how they're trying to speak about how they're experts on security, tactically delusions rot, and that rolls black people. How they got away all this time with speaking other than American history we're supposed to speak. Taxes, get out of here. Don't let that game stay. Yeah, I want to hear from Ed Powell. There's more threats on the kids. There's more threats in the elderly home too, in between the campuses. So stop playing the games with time and trying to cover up, and then say, "Oh, well, look," because you're caught. A whole bunch of judges involved with the same house with the wire crimes and the Wethersfield Police. Increasingly, people tied to a police chief, Cintron, and 1 or more years ago, involved with the same house with the wire crimes, and with the name Sullivan brought up too. They didn't put the whole name. There's a Daryl Sullivan who's also involved with name switching and federal evidence crime sequence shifts and people abuses of little 6th grade kids through time and intercampuses, identity theft frauds roles they have, intracultural, with Park Street. They have the little intercultural rackets with their differences interbranch, where they speak about prejudice to their hiding sequence shifts. They're calling attacks on themselves. The black and white KKK, the Confederate flag theme, military, next to Trinity College, involved planting evidences on my street in Wethersfield. And with this, what they said, and people tied to them said, confessed, and Trinity College confirmed. There's a Joshua Stryker also planting evidences at Trinity College. Fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me through time. Criminally foreign influence uses of what they think I said on Facebook, because they changed what I said also. I also noted that they were I was getting them to react to things, because you can get people to make confessions of things when they're lying to you. You don't have to know what they lie about their motivations too. Their motivations planting, fake motivations planting, because there are foreign bodies involved with these families and timed uses of it, collusions with them. I don't know. Ed Powell is one of the names you keep bringing up. Ron Adams. I tried to get the police on paper. Then they make the email go away. Hotmail. The FBI and other agencies have roles with Joshua Stryker and people on off the UPS and the post office. Also, with they were selling drugs with them. Also, as the people are supposed to counter that because they have the roles with the gangs, the patients, the criminals, people that work, the families of the fire departments all run in and hide life progressions with this Leahy family, who's like their drug dealer, including with and the people like Cololo. They control all the types of qualities of pot and like mushrooms and natural things, and then they frame people for using stuff they don't even want to use. Has something to do with their roles on off to highway and hangdog lane with various courts, judges, and their family members and their intimate circles. At the same time, collusions with overt criminal enterprises, private ones. He said, she said, gangs with their planting evidences and fake motives of foreign bodies, screening foreign bodies, has something to do with their roles with Koreans. Associate, for example, with when and Bark Hampstead in Connecticut, people associated with a Tim O'Brien and a Nick LaPere. I don't know his brother's names, his family's names. That location. I don't know Nick LaPere. They try to make a fake look at like they made a couple fake exceptions. Never had anything to do with them. They're trying to put fake the evidences, try to make fake exceptions of people knowing them. Where they're involved with identity theft, frauds, falsified police reports, organized crime, and child abuse. Identity theft, fraud, slanders with people on off to our highway where it runs into Hangdog Lane increasingly, and conjunctions into adjacents to it, like the Berlin Turnpike and like the Route 3, which conjunction adjacent to that is the state judicial branch offices. These are also people off the state corrections offices, planting evidences and lying, spreading lies about me, fake ties and fake natures of ties to me, and conversations about me to people from the boxing gyms involved with the wire crimes still, as the ones about from my town involved with wire crimes, the Westfield police faking me, pretending I had a conversation with me as a kid because they painted themselves in corners. So has something to do with their roles with the Charlie Bows, still, and people associated with Charlie Bows at Trinity College. This is nothing personal against Trinity College or Central Connecticut State University. These are also the sources of Tucker Carlson and of Mr. Waters, Waters World. Please help. Please get them on paper, one name and sequence. This Ron Adams has roles with the FBI and other agencies, some military, foreign and domestic. They have Afghan leaders and kids. They have people, all the countries, because there's a hyper foreign involved with the same names involved with them. Names who had roles of war crimes and federal evidences crimes on my street with child abusers when I was in grammar school. Increasingly, people tied to them are the ones involved with this, and they don't even know me. They're timing because they're intercities. They were planting evidences on off the campuses intercities and spots next to it. Who knows people with the name Mazzucato? There's a Reno Mazzucato made fake exceptions of me knowing them that pretended I know him, like for fake conversations and stuff with me. There are proofs of that. He's involved with wire crimes and Weathersfield police, where they have that Mazzucato bakery in Elm Street and Elm Street and Route 3 in Rocky Hill. That corner, his father-in-law, the Weathersfield police chief, of a father-in-law of Reno Mazzucato. I don't know his sister's name. I don't know his brother's name. I don't know the kids or whatever it is. He's involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, also in the foreign federal evidences crimes, predicate acts with facts. See, that stuff can extend, and these are people increasingly timed collusions with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. All the little intercultural and interreligious spots differences used too. They attach me to fake conversations with them about religion too. These are sick people. So Judge Napolitano, you too. One shouldn't have to beg. Get the Weathersfield Police on paper, one name and sequence. Let's go. Well, the Weathersfield Town offices is also through time involved with probation officers. There's a probation officer of a Mike Oliver who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed is involved with intelligence people that influenced him to roles with them and others with the murder of Greg Kyler, even if it was made up. Reports of it were with the reporters involved with that, including ones since they were on campuses with their family members kept criminally foreign influence. People from Central Connecticut State University and Trinity increasingly have roles with the intelligence community at spots next to Harvard Hospital with unmarked police forms who actually have actual collusions with names on all sides of criminal and civil cases used remotely. The names of the interbranch switching name sequences at the same time, clearer than day. How the breaching method uses them. They never had the right to speak about economics, leaving out these exceptions. They never had the right to pretend that we were trying to become a name just because we're being forced to. A name abridged. We want the Constitution unabridged is hyper native pure. We want Native American rights in our own, liberated. Better than free, we will all help the Native Americans lift water, bring it down beautifully, make freshwater coral, make the ground's identity, its identity relationship to itself, and the value of that only increasingly value. And this is also for programming. You guys are stealing my programming. So for note, it's like a new way of like where they have collisions and a list of things. If this happens this time, then this happens. This is gonna be a different way of appreciating lists too, with programming, hyper programming. So you guys left out a lot of details. You bring up witch trials. You leave out how the slavery method was entrenched, the crazy laws against everyone. You bring up these subjects part that you guys are used to measure and maintain. You're incapable of defending ourselves. You guys have sexual abusers of kids. The news has roles with them. Then they pretend, oh, that's why they're sustaining it about a certain type of sexual abuse. They have the roles with the transsexuals because then, and they're sustaining that. So now when you tell on it, the actual sexual acts against the kids, like the obscure pictures further on Twitter with the principal child defenders campus involved with that. They pretend you're talking about, you're saying it for that because there are transsexuals and people with that community involved with it too. The same names involved. The intelligence community has roles with those polarities and those people, disgusting people. So why would you talk to them? I had no choice. When you're in apartments, buildings, and things like that, that's how they plant evidences increasingly. I'm capable of showing you guys what's actually recorded in New York City from here. Awesome because of how they have the military involved. The military has a number of involvements with families associated with corners of streets, and they have time collusions with foreign bodies. Something to do with their roles with Russians, Koreans, Afghans, and all this, where they're hiding, they're getting the right to lie is their roles. They're lying about other things and getting away with it because of it. They have little kids involved with it. Because how they're keeping the campuses so sick, fake. They're putting fake transcripts. Everyone attached to fake change communications with others. Then they're making confessions where they're communicating confessions, which is different than speaking it. So Ray Reynolds will tell you this. He was forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded to be in my presence. I never tried to contact him. Increasingly, people with the name Harris and were involved with my kindergarten class, also with houses next to them, involved with the name, involved with sexual circles as family members of probate court judges. They're involved with untimely deaths, controlling all the best qualities of pot and all these different kinds of drugs they have access and roles with, as the ones involved with Harvard Hospital involved planting evidences, crimes, wired to the crimes with the Ray Cololo and the Tim O'Brien, with the Weatherfield Police, Harper Police, Rocky Hill Police, people involved with Newtown child offenders. Fear God. Sandy Hook Promise doesn't have any representation. Get them on paper, the people involved with Sandy Hook Promise. Get the Weathersfield Police, one name and sequence involved with them. Involved with the state police, involved with Sandy Hook Promise too. And the FBI, this guy, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson, Racketeering Influence of Crop Organization Act. They have a bunch of different countries involved with military police families, involved with guns, crimes with the kids too. Knives and poisons involved because they're putting fake motivations for everything too. Fake transcripts of little kids and adults through time. They're using the investigations remotely, criminally foreign influence. Dear God, you have people just overtly pretending things with police online because they already changed it. And the differences between Facebook having done it, because they're also Facebook had people with their ad placements in the news. There's one girl who looks just like a Celeste Wells. I never had a class with her in my life. She was in my middle school involved with the intelligence community, planting evidences with other countries at the same time, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, people out the state judicial branch and corrections offices, and out next to parks planting evidences, federal evidences, crimes, identity theft, fraud, slanders in that for that. He said, she said. They're putting fake motivations with foreign bodies. Let's get them on paper, one name and sequence. Let's go.